everyone, my name is Christina Nessie and I'm so excited to be here. My Instagram is @thefierceblonde. I post a ton of my work, so you can check it out, and if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me. First, I want to share with you a huge secret that I have. I can get rid of roots in under 5 seconds. So as you can see, my roots are awful. Life of a hairdresser. But I'm gonna really quick show you the biggest secret ever. And there you go, no more roots. So anyway, today we're going to be doing a client and we're going to start with our consultation. The consultation is one of the most important parts of our service because during the consultation, that is when we need to have a clear picture of exactly how we're going to execute our service. I always have 2 parts to my consultation, verbal and visual. I verbally talk with the client, ask questions, and get an idea of exactly what they want. And then I always ask for pictures. I don't ever perform a service on a client, whether it's a haircut, a balayage, a highlight, unless I have seen a picture, because I might have a different perception of what the client is saying and vice versa. So it's very important to leave your consultation knowing 100% how you're going to execute your service. If you go in the back to mix color and you start questioning yourself or start thinking of questions that you should have asked, then when you return to your client, you should ask those questions. Be as thorough as possible because this is going to set you up for success. So let's get started. So this is Allison and we're going to be working with Allison today. So what would you like to do?
So I want super low maintenance balayage, just lighten it up, but keep like a shadow root and
keep your natural.
Keep the natural.
Because you have a beautiful natural color.
Thank you. And just have it blend into a brighter blonde.
Because you have the old at the ends.
Right.
And you want it low maintenance, so no lines, you want it blended. And the tone, we'll look at pictures of the blonde that you want, like the color blonde. I would assume it's similar to what's at your ends now, right? You like this color?
Yes, I like that
ends.
color, yes.
And it's been a while, we were just saying
right
before we started.
It's been
well,
like 5 months?
We did, yeah, we did some on top, but then the rest is
probably close to a year since it's been
the back is all dark.
Yes, all
and
natural.
Okay, for your haircut, you want to do, you want it stacked in the back?
Stacked, yep. Take it shorter in the back, angled, and then just trim up the bangs.
Okay, so because she gets a stack, we're going to leave this part. Obviously, we're not going to color this blonde because if we were to do that, it would look like a cheetah. So we're going to leave this. It'll be nice dimension down here, and then maybe like a pop in the front, like a brighter, piece in the front.
Yes.
Let's check out pictures. Show me exactly. Oh, here you go. The pictures that you had. Okay, so today, as you can see, I basically sectioned her out as if I was going to do a partial because, like I said, we want to leave this dark since this is very long for her right now. She's going to have a stack, so we're going to leave this out. And since she wants it subtle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take my section and I'm going to do a traditional weave, like so. And then I'm just going to give it a light tease. And this tease is going to diffuse the line of demarcation and blend the highlight. Okay, so here I have mixed the Kenra Beyond Blonde with 30 volume. I'm going to start with in the back. And I don't know how long I'm going to process her because everybody's head is different. And I think that's a huge mistake that people make. They have these preconceived notions of like, oh my gosh, we can only process them for X amount of time, and I feel like that's why people are unsuccessful a lot of times when they are blonding. I'm basically going to take 1-inch sections, and then from that 1 inch, I'm gonna cut that in half. So it's about a 1/2 inch section that I'm using. And I'm doing this in 3s. So side, middle, side. I like to keep things as simple as possible and not really complicate them. So as we get towards the top, I'm going to take a smaller section, probably like a 1/2 inch, and then my half of that would be a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to do my weave a little finer, but still tease it, you know, to blend. And when you're teasing, you want to be sure to hold the hair taut and then do your tease, because then it will just fall out if you don't. So also when I get to the top, I like to do my foils back to back, just to give it a little bit of a more dimension and a brighter look towards the top. I don't like to space them out. And also to add dimension, I like to think of this section as a V. So when you're balayaging, you know, your sides will go up higher and you'll leave the middle out. You'll bring that lower because that'll create dimension in the head. Okay, so now that we're moving over to the side, I like to work with the shape of the head when I'm going through. So in the front, I do very fine baby lights, and I will not be teasing these because I do want it to be brighter around her face. But I will, like I said, be taking very fine sections and just kind of baby lighting around her hairline, but still feathering upward so that, again, we don't create any harsh lines and it's a more blended look. Also, I'm sure you're thinking, why am I going over her ends that were already previously blonde? I'm doing this because I actually do want it to pop a little more and maybe make those ends a little bit brighter. So 2 back to back in the front baby lights, and then I'm going to take about an inch section, still following the shape of the head. And then I'm going to cut that in half and then do my weave and then tease. We always want to work off the part. So you part your hair, going that way. Okay, so I want to section the front out. So I'm going to work off of her part this way, then this way. I don't do mohawk section back because that doesn't ensure that you're going to get the area that she actually parts her hair. Again, taking the same sections that as previous in the back, the 1/2 inch and then 1/4 inch weaving and then teasing. And I forgot to say earlier that with my lightener, with this lightener, you can mix 1 to 2 parts or 1 to 3. I prefer 1 to 2. It's just a personal preference of consistency. But I would like to say that you should always measure your lightener to ensure that you're going to get consistent results and the same results every time when using it. A lot of people don't think it's necessary, but it definitely is. And I am going to, the foils leading up to her part, I am going to bring that lightener all the way up. Again, feathering because of the line of demarcation, but I do want it to be closer to her root and brighter towards the top. Now we're coming up to the part. Again, I'm going to bring the lightener all the way up. So for the front section, we're going to be giving her a money piece to give her a pop of extra blonde in the front. So I'm going to first take my section, very fine, clip the rest back. I'm going to take my lightener right up to the top, but feathering upward. For my next section, I'm going to take about, I would say a quarter of an inch, a quarter of an inch. And then I'm going to simply tease this section. Okay, since we're in front of her face, I'm going to place the foil underneath, and then I'm going to just place the paddle underneath that to make sure that I have a nice even surface, because I'm going to simply paint on the lightener as if I was doing a traditional balayage. I'm going to take it all the way up to the top. And you want to be sure that there aren't little splotch marks, because actually, believe it or not, those marks will be there when you wash it out. So if there's any marks that are like little dots, you want to make sure they're blended out, because anything that you see with your eye before you close the foil is what you're going to see when you take the foil out. It's not going to go away. I'm going to place a foil right on top of that so I don't interrupt the painting. I'm going to take another section, same size, and just repeat the same thing. And then for my last section, I'm going to repeat the baby light and tease after. And we're going to bring the lightener right up. Now, while she's processing, you want to make sure that you always go back and check her previous foils to see how they are lifting. And if needed, reapply your lightener, because lightener stops working when it dries out. So you want to make sure that those foils stay saturated as they're processing, and that you're checking them to make sure that they're lifting the way you want. I just wanted to show you that she has been processing while I did the front, and I checked the back. I waited about 5 minutes until I was done with the front, and it is the perfect tone. So we're going to shampoo the back now. So here we have Allison, and I basically washed her out with Kenra's brightening shampoo and conditioned it, and then I combed out the tease, and she has come up the perfect tone of blonde. So I'm going to choose not to use a toner to cancel out any unwanted tones, because I'm loving the color that it lifted to. However, you do always want to tone, even if they don't necessarily need a color. You should use at least clear because that'll close the cuticle and bring the hair back down to the natural pH. So right now what I'm going to do is put on the Kenra Rapid Toner mixed with the 9 volume 1 to 2 parts, and I'm going to process for 5 minutes. I'm also choosing not to do a root melt because, as Allison said, she wants to be as low maintenance as possible. And when I teased the hair as I was doing the process, that basically diminished that harsh line of demarcation and made the highlights blended, which her natural color is basically working to give the hair a lived-in look on its own. So we don't necessarily need to do the root melt. Of course, this isn't always the case for every client. Like I said, everybody's head is different. So you have to do those steps, you know, at your discretion. When I'm done putting this on, I'm going to comb it through to ensure that it's distributed evenly. This will also give it a nice shine as well, which is important. We want to have nice, shiny, healthy hair. Okay, now that we're all combed through, we're going to let this process, like I said, for 5 minutes. I'm going to wash, condition, and then we're going to start on the cut. Okay, so I'm going to have her look down, and we are going to cut the bottom, which will be our guide for the stack. I'm using my trimmers. I feel like it gives a nice clean line, and there are no little hairs poking out underneath. Now, when I cut her bang, I'm going to do that dry. I never cut bangs wet because, as we know, they shrink up and it's hard to tell how short they will be when they're dry. Also, I always check my cuts and finish them dry. I do my texturizing when it's dry, etc. The first product I'm going to use is the Kenra Blow Dry Spray, which dries the hair up to 50% faster, and it also protects from the heat. Just gonna do a few sections so that the product distributes evenly. Then I'm going to comb through when I'm done with everything. The next product I'm going to use is the Kenra Boosting Spray Foam. Allison, you want your hair full, right? She likes volume. She has a lot of hair, but it's fine. So we want to give her some body. We're going to shake very well and then spray this right at the root to provide lift where we want it. I love this because it doesn't get sticky like some root boosters. Sometimes you spray them at the root and you're blow drying it and it's just a sticky mess. This is not. It leaves the hair soft and, you know, able to comb through. Put your hands through if you want. I'm going to use the Volume Mousse just at the ends a little. Then, like I said, I'm just going to comb through. Now, since Allison likes volume, I am actually going to blow dry the hair from the top section down. I know traditionally people blow dry from the bottom up, but as you're dropping that wet hair on top of this dry section that you just blew out, you're actually ruining it because you're putting wet on top of the beautiful volume that you've just created. I'm going to start at the front. Once your section is completely dry, you always want to hit it with a cool shot because that sets the hair and keeps the volume. Look at how much volume she has. It's insane. A great way to ensure that the hair is completely dry is that your brush will glide through it with ease. If it's not gliding through it, it's not dry. And now I am going to check my haircut and do my texturizing. Okay, so how do you feel?
Amazing.
Okay. The
perfect.
last thing I'm going to do, I just want to use a little bit of the Kenra volumizing powder. This is a medium hold. And basically it's going to, throughout the day or the night when you go out, you could just fluff it up and it'll, you know, keep
Okay.
its little body going.
Perfect.
And all you have to do is fluff